Welcome to Crimson Guitars, welcome to my home studio, welcome to, well, episode 44 of Luthiers Questions Time. Luthiers Questions Time. I'm stumbling over the title, what can I say? Well, here we are, it's all good. A couple of minutes late, it seems to be... Alright, I think we're back, fingers crossed. I despise this process. There we go, we're live. Hi, how's it going? It's a bank holiday weekend and it is what it is. Dimitri starts the runnings with Ben. What is the preferred thickness of an inlay? Can I use plexiglass? Anything that you're not going to file through as you level the fretboard itself. So I tend to say don't really go below 0.5 millimeter, but between 0.5 millimeter and 2 millimeters thick is fine. And yes, you can use plexiglass. Ibanez did it, those fantastic multicolored sharks on, must be Vice? Maybe Satriani. I don't know, one of those. Anyhow, we are in the building. First super chat has just come through. This is Joe Smyjohn Jr. says, welcome back, Ben. Lol. I think that at this stage, the technical difficulties now all belong to the... There's a brick that connects through USB-C to the laptop because the laptop doesn't have all of the ports that are required for, connecting hardwired to the internet, for example. So if anything gets moved, if anything gets touched, that seems to cause chaos. And I can do without chaos at this point. Okay, Rob Phoenix is in the house, as is Lisa and Luthier. Creverai, Tahoe Mike, Spike's Guitar Garage on the right channel this week. Joe Smyjohn Jr., obviously he's in as, well, we're all here. SC Guitars, etc. So, Creverai's just come back from holiday and is having a bit of a life crisis due to the fact that it's cold and miserable where he currently is. But anyway, it is one of those things. Now, Mr. Waffle says it always freezes on a goofy look. Yeah, well, there we go. Matthias Lindgren says, how can Ben be such a lightning rod for technical difficulties? I'm not sure if you've noticed, not a particularly technical chap. I like hand tools. I like vintage stuff. And, I use phones and computers and the like. But where possible, I really will avoid them. But anyhow, Vax Headroom says, greetings programs. Looks like an, as usual, Sunday afternoon with Ben. I don't know. It's not a party until something breaks. This is from Tahoe Mike. Anyhow, let me know. Well, what questions we've got. There are 57 of us, 36 likes, and I need questions. So, feed me. Feed me. Okay, come on then. It's been a good weekend for me. So far, I haven't done any work. Okay, this is via Creverai and our Discord channel. If you are not on there yet, you should be. It says, hey Ben, this is Rocket Punk, says, hey Ben, for my next guitar build, I'd like to make a Jazzmaster reusing part of my leftovers at home. I'm going to assume you mean leftover wood, etc., not leftover dinner, but I have a dilemma. See, I still have enough tuners to make a 5-1 headstock in antique bronze finish, and I found a Jazzmaster vibrato in the same finish, and I love the colour because copper is the best. You have good taste. You really do. Problem is, I can't find any Jazzmaster bridge in antique bronze anywhere. Aha, I have got a trick for you. Just send through a 50 quid super chat and I'll let you know. Please don't take that out of context. So I thought maybe I should use a Tune-O-Matic as a replacement, as there's still the rollers on there and there's plenty in bronze. Is that a good idea, or should I keep looking? Have a great night streaming. Okay, so you are probably unlikely to exactly match the antique bronze that you've got on the tuners, etc. but all chromed hardware, to my knowledge, goes through a plating process to get to the chrome plating, and that process actually involves taking the part, plating it in copper, then plating it in nickel, then plating it in chrome or gold or black or whatever you're doing. So if you get a car battery charger, for example, and some cotton buds, and essentially strip the finish using an acid etching process, there are video tutorials online, you can actually take away the chrome from any hardware you want and get to something that does look like antique bronze, or at least a damn sight closer. So if you really do want the correct bridge, then you could try that, and it could be great fun. Test on an unobtrusive spot that won't be seen to start with, of course. But other than that, yeah, go for a Tune-o-matic. No worries whatsoever. Kiwi Quarters has sent $5. Thanks very much. And said, Ben, I've got a thick boy with a 25mm hole that wipes out the left point of the treble F hole. Whew. Okay. Wood epoxy putty or an actual wood plug? It's painted. Wood epoxy putty or an actual wood plug? It is painted. Okay, so both of those options could leave witness marks, basically. So once everything is dried and you've got your paint on there, there is a chance that whether you use epoxy or a wood plug, you will have a line around the edge where eventually something shrinks or expands or whatever, and you end up with where it's obvious that has been a repair. I think this is less likely to happen. It's less likely to happen. We're there. This is less likely to happen if you do use a two-part epoxy filler mixed with sawdust or something like that. Or even, I've used many times in my career, enough times that it's happened a lot, and early on, but a two-part automotive body filler. That stuff is really, really, really heavy duty, does not shrink, and then instead of two pieces of wood potentially shrinking, you've just got the one, which is the whole body, and you shouldn't have too much of an issue with that. So yeah, I would use automotive body filler to do that and then paint over. So there we go. Joe Smyge on Juniors coming with another $5 super chat and said, I sent you an email on Friday for today's stream and SC has already sent it to your queue. Thank you very much. I will work the way through the queue and find it in a second. Let's see. Tutankhamun says, hi Ben, I would like to make a toolbox for my Crimson tools. Would it be okay to put the Crimson logo on the box? Might be a good future product for you too. I've seriously considered doing a nice French fitted toolbox for at least the Essential Fret Leveling and Dressing Toolkit, but there are so many different options and ways and add-ons and things that it would just have to be custom, and we don't want to stop people buying more tools by forcing them to stick with a particular toolbox. But I can't stop anybody putting the Crimson logo on anything, and you're not going to be selling it. So yeah, of course, go for it. No worries. Just going through here, Inky Guitars via Discord says, how long does a flash coat take at Crimson? Also, do you think that illuminated manuscripts are a good inspiration for inlays? Oh, holy hell do I. Yes, absolutely. Flash coat takes about 30 minutes from application to being able to put the guitar together, for what that's worth. So there we go. Hold on. Matthias Lindgren said, back! Exclamation point. And then in parenthesis, for now. Is it you? Are you causing the technical difficulties? I'm trying not to move or move the workbench in any way, shape or form, and it seems to be going okay. Spike. Spike says, hi Ben, I got a Chenda in the shop yesterday for a setup. The dad bought an American Strat off Facebook Marketplace for $600. He thought not. It is a Chinese... He thought not. It is a Chinese knockoff, has made in USA and Fender logos. He got ripped off. $175 guitar, easy to spot. Not as good as the Gibson copies. This is so wrong, and this is why he was devastated. Took me a bit to show and convince him. So yeah, and there's some photos. It's a never-ending problem that unfortunately we have to deal with, and it actually does bring up an interesting point. There was yesterday's video was looking at this giant new CNC machine that I bought for Crimson. I say I bought. I just told Sam to go and get what he needed, and he showed me some photos. I said, that looks nice, and that was it. So yeah, I trust my guys. But there were a lot of people commenting about how these sorts of machines are democratizing guitar building to a certain extent. Now, I'm a guitar builder, but I'm also a guitar designer, and that goes through me to Sam, who takes what I design and puts it into a computer, and then they prototype it through the CNC machine, and you end up with something that's very precise and very replicable. Now, the Chinese have the same technology, as does everybody. If I wanted to make fake Fenders, and this is a big if I wanted to, we probably could replicate what they do exactly. I mean, I really wouldn't want to, though. I don't know. It's just it's a moral thing, and we're going to see more and more of this, and better quality fakes, to the point where you've got to think to yourself, is it actually worth... And hey, I'm a guy who's got a company that I'm trying to set up into being the company that makes thousands of guitars. So I really have a vested interest in people not faking. But you've got to ask yourself the question, should we pay these prices for guitars that can be faked so easily? Or is it simply that they've got, great big CNC machines and they make the cheaper guitars for everybody else there, and that's how it happens? They've already got all of the sunk cost in their legitimate businesses, which is, I assume, what the case is. But it's a difficult one. Anyway, it's the same thing with watches. I've got some watches that are regularly faked, and the first thing that people ask is, if they even notice it, oh, is that a real one or a fake one? Right. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Bruce Brooks says, hello from New York. How's it going, Bruce? Breton M is talking to Lisa. I love the fact how you guys have got so much going on. Okay. Sweet Tea Guitars sent an email to stream@crimsonguitars.com. That's one way to get me to see photos. Hi, Todd. I'm getting ready to ship what I told you. Oh, crikey. I don't think I want to look at this, actually. Todd's sending me some free wood. I'm gonna avoid looking at photos so that I can open them on camera and actually be excited. I have turned into a master at delayed gratification. Thank you very much. It's easy in a live stream saying, hey Ben, I've got some stuff I'm going to send you, but when things actually arrive, it really and truly makes my day. So Stephen, can you delete those photos, please? so I don't look at them. Joseph Smyjohn, how's it going? Says, I just got this highly figured piece of Nigerian satinwood. What is it with the word Nigerian? Whatever you put behind the word Nigerian, you think that's a scam. Figured piece of Nigerian satinwood that I'm going to use as a veneered top and back on the acoustics I'm starting to build. I didn't realize you were building an acoustic, dude. Also, I sent a video clip on Instagram in response to the Redwood unboxing video. I'm not sure if it's been seen yet. If you sent it to my personal Instagram, absolutely not. I will screenshot that and try and look. I do not check the messages on the Instagram. I simply don't have the time for the flood that do come through there, and I don't particularly. I've talked about giving somebody else access to that, but anyway, is what it is. So, and there's a photograph of the wood, and it is stunning. It's almost like a rippled Tassie Blackwood, actually. It kind of looks like Tasmanian Blackwood to me. Very, very nice. That is going to be fun. Okay. Bro_kin, as in brethren, _strings_jewelry. Says, hi Ben, I'm Neil. I started a hobby a few years ago making jewelry out of guitar strings. Haha, nice. And it has grown, and now I'm trying to turn it into a business. I was in Dorchester today, so I put a couple of little gifts through the letterbox for you. Hope you like them, Neil. Thank you very much. I will post photos and ask people. So I'm assuming this was sent this weekend. I will make sure that people know that it's to be looked out for. Thank you very much. I really struggle. I don't really know what to say to people who just give me stuff. It's incredible, and I really do appreciate it. Then again, I've got all of this. I've got this already, but I don't know. It's a weird one. Joe Smyjohn Jr. has come in with another $5 super chat and said, yes, I sent it to the personal and good. Now I can get your reaction to the video clip live. Lol. Okay, so you want me to actually open the clip now. I will have a go. Bloody hell. Luthiers coming with 10 Canadian dollars. So if I wanted to make a wood binding for a guitar body, how thick should I make it? Think I could make Paduk binding, or will that be a nightmare? Paduk is quite... It depends on the grain that you cut and the orientation that you cut. I would cut it as quarter sawn as humanly possible, and I would not go for any wider than 1 millimeter. At the outside, I would also use a hell of a lot of steam. Either leave it in a steam pipe, i.e. a pipe capped at the ends with a hose going into it, flooding it with steam. I would potentially use ammonia fumes, which would make it even easier to bend, or failing that, just a straight old bending iron or something that size. Hair straighteners could do the job as well, because yeah, it's relatively thin stock. If you've got the grain wrong, it'll crack. If you've got the heat too low, it'll crack. Make enough that you can experiment, but you should be all right. You should be all right. Remember that Paduk also will go brown over time, which is a thing. Okay, so I'm not going to make a habit of... I'm not going to make a habit of looking for people's posts and videos and things that they've sent me live, because hey, there are people watching. Oh, and there's a message from Broken Strings actually in my personal Instagram as well. Ooh. Wow, I should probably check this. Leatherman's talking about me. We're now sponsored. I'm now sponsored by Leatherman, and it is like a career topping thing. I'm such a fan of that company. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this whole Chinese fake guitars, fake watches, and all of that, and how easy. I'm sorry, there are so many messages here. I just actually can't find yours. Nope. No, no, there's no way I'm going to find that. Okay. Sorry, Joe. Not happening. Now, yeah. Let me know what you think. Okay. E.R. Webster's in the building. Sup, everyone. Happy Sunday. Sunday fun day. Vax Headroom. Stephen Clark says we currently have more likes than viewers. That's a first. It's gone the other way again, so that's good. Matt Lang says Ben owns hair straighteners. Which hair is he straightening? Question mark. You guys and your double entendres. I have a daughter and a wife, and they have hair. No matter what I say to them, they refuse to shave their heads. It's just. And that being said, no, I don't think we actually do own a hair straightener in the house. Come to think of it. Garage Master Guitars via Discord says, measure, measure, cut is a well-known and quickly learnt mantra. Are there any easy ways to remember to make sure your 12th fret inlay is the right way up? Picture below. Okay, so, I mean, the fact of this is that, to be honest, unless I don't know what that symbol is, it looks like a trident kind of thing. And it doesn't matter whether it's that way or the other way. But I do understand when something isn't how you had envisioned it, it's damned annoying. Stephen has rushed to delete pictures of the wood that is being sent to me. Strat78 says, hi Ben, your YouTube channel is an absolute goldmine. Thank you very much. And it's really interesting to see how your techniques and views have progressed over the years. The most important thing that I will teach anybody at all, period, in my entire life, I think, is the fact that you have to be willing to be told that you're wrong. And you also have to be able to be strong enough as a human being to say, hey, yo, remember when I said don't do this? Actually, I think you should do that now. And it just is, it is what it is. Anyway, do you have any suggestions on how to best make use of timber that is just a little too short for a book-matched body top? I have a really nice piece of Soir, that sounds like a metal band, Monkey Pod or Rain Tree that I'd love to use. Thanks. There was a student last week or the week before. In fact, I'm going to stop trying to even figure out where we are in relation to when I filmed what's on the benches. There was a student who actually inlaid. He had a guitar and then he inlaid a cool design as a second top. And that worked really cool. And if you have a smaller piece of wood that is stunning, you can do a double top in that way. So, for example, if you were going to do something like the guitar I built for GGBO, which still needs a name, would it be too cheeky to call it the air guitar? Because it's just a top and back with air in the middle. Anyway, if you're doing something like that, where the cuts come through, you could have one piece of wood at the extremities, the top, the dusty end of the guitar, the bouts, there we go, the horns, even better, and then a different species of wood at the body. I think that could be quite cool. Joe Smart John Jr. is coming with another super chat. Joe, you are keeping it going tonight. I really appreciate it. And says, it's all right, but I sent it as a direct message, not a post. I was going through the direct messages and it got to the point where I literally couldn't even see any more. There's so many messages that come through that account, and it seems like there's actually messages that I'm supposed to check, so I need to check those, really. It was direct message, not a post, lol. It was just proof that redwoods do grow up to 400 foot tall. I took video when I drove through the redwood forest last year. So when I was opening, it's not there anymore, it's over that side, a pack of wood that was sent to me with some redwood stuff, some beautiful redwood. I thought that it was a typo that said this tree was 400 foot long, and it literally blows my mind. It's just incredible. Okay. Sweet Tea Guitar says, what's your preferred method for making a back cover plate and cavity template? I'm thinking it's better to make the cover and then make the cavity template from the cover. My preferred method is not to make a template at all. Yeah. But that's... If I am doing a one-off, if I'm never going to make this particular thing again, then I don't tend to make templates unless I have to. Now, for the recess, yes, absolutely, you make a template. Cool, no worries. But for the cover, I would just mark it out with a piece of paper, and I could be wrong on this. And then I cut the piece of wood bigger than it needs to be, and then carefully sand it down on the spindle sander, belt sander tool, and just go slowly down, and you get there. I think that, I don't know, cavity covers, cavity control, recesses and all that sort of stuff, you can reuse those on multiple different builds. Now, if I had the choice, I would have a laser cutter. I do have a laser cutter. If I had the choice, I would use a laser cut template. Making a template yourself is never fun. However, that being said, yes. Yes, I would, if I had no choice, I would make the cover, as you suggest. I would then draw around that very carefully, and then use that drawing to make the template. I would then use a router to route a test into a piece of scrap wood and make sure that it all works and finagle as required. And then if you are going to use this a lot, use your template to make another template and keep your first one in a drawer somewhere safe as a master template that you never touch again until you need to make another template. But yeah, there we go. JR's GGB O Adventure says, I hope to be successful enough Sunday that there are Chinese fakes of my guitars. Lol. Yeah, it's... Yeah. There is a Chinese company that's offering to make fakes of ours. I doubt anybody's actually done it. There is another Chinese company calling itself Crimson Guitars who sell cheap, just bog standard cheap guitars in the Southern American market, which every now and then we get an email about. But yeah. Rab Knox talking to Inky Guitars. Luthiers sent $2 Canadian and said, read Sweet Tea Guitar's comment, ! He wins. The best way to avoid a counterfeit guitar is to build your own! ! Yeah, pretty much. And I am all for that. You do win. Spike's Guitar Garage is doing a video of the process of authenticating it and making it play. That sounds fun. Gregory Hunt sent $10 Canadian. Thank you very much, Gregory. Says, Ben, could you speak up, please? I can't hear you over my router. Thanks for all the YouTube videos. I would never be trying to build my own Les Paul without you. Cheers. I very, very nearly bumped the volume up on the Focusrite sort of USB interface thing I've got here just for a joke, but actually that would probably blow the eardrums of 87 people, and I don't want to do that. What you need is some ISO tunes, and and you can listen and route away. Gregory, thank you very much. Okay. Kiwi Quarters says, I have a Chinese Les Paul copy, not a counterfeit, with two different kinds of counterfeit Grover tuners. So, oh my gosh. It's... I was offered some tuners once, and yeah, I was offered a bulk price on some Grover tuners, and I just knew they would be fake. And it's something you need to just watch out for, really. It's terrible. SC Guitars, measure, check again, measure once more, check, measure, knock it over, measure, check again from the beginning, measure, cut, get it horribly wrong still, cry. I'm going to ask you guys advice. This is the funniest thing about this whole thing. I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, should I be doing this? I definitely should have had coffee. Please excuse me. It has been a long, long weekend. Guitar Monger via Discord has sent a question saying, what criteria do you use to determine whether you'll glue a set neck or bolt it on? I have one of your uncut fan fret kits because you have fantastic taste, and I'm trying to figure out what would be best for this shape. Pictures for reference. I'd also like to contour the heel a bit for accessibility. Well, I mean, that's a sexy shape. It's vaguely... That's really cool. If you can see that, guys. It's kind of a nebula crossed with the lower horn of... not the 12-hour guitar. I've done a lower horn similar to that in a couple of builds, the names of which now completely escape me. But that's really attractive. Personally, I would glue it in 9 times out of 10. Period. And this one in particular, it's a Les Paul-ish single cutaway kind of a shape, and those have glued on necks just because that's what they always have. It's a set neck, and that's the way it goes. I would also tend to glue in. I tend to glue in everything. So there we go. You've got a nice long tenon there because of the fan fret stuff going on. It's a really nice looking guitar. And I say that, yeah, it's cool. Go for it. But what are the criteria? The reason to use a bolt-on neck is, and the reason why Leo Fender propagated the thought was that if you ever broke a neck, it's easy to replace. And I think he was bullshitting us. I think what actually went through his head was, oh, if in the manufacturing process we bugger up the process and make a shit neck, we can chuck it in the bin without having to chuck away a whole guitar because it's being glued onto the body. And that is what happens. He has taken sort of Ford's production line technique and all that jazz, and Henry Ford, and put it on guitars. And that's why you have bolt-on necks. You are making a guitar and you're also going to look after it. You're not likely to drop it or smash it or any of these things. You're not likely to need to make a new neck. And if you are, to be frank, it's not actually that difficult to chop off a glued-in neck, take the truss rod out, and then reroute an egg pocket and put a new neck in. That only becomes unlikely to happen when you've got a through neck, and even then, it's not the end of the world. So I glue them in. I think it's more attractive. There's less metal. There's less stuff in your way. I know you can inlay the bolts and have hidden and contoured and all that stuff, but no. Unless I'm specifically asked, I will glue the necks in. Joe Smyjohn's come in with a final super chat and said, I'm starting to drive. I'll be ghosting the rest of the stream. I am amazed that you have enough of a signal to ghost the stream. I tried to phone my accountant the other day, and it just I couldn't even have a simple phone call for the length of a 25-minute journey. But anyway, Mr. Waffles is saying I need to make a ukulele. One day I'm sure I will. Creeverai says, Chipsons are actually made not that bad. I assume if they are branding the guitars with their own name, they would be a pretty solid beginner guitar. Absolutely. One of my top videos, in fact, two of my top videos of all time, are me looking at Chipsons. Lisa says, my top of the head take on fakes. I'm damn sure they can't copy quality. Could that possibly force us to up our game? So this is where it really gets difficult. And morally ambiguous on the part of the manufacturer of the real thing. Because actually, I think you're wrong. If they want to, they now do have the capacity and the know-how in these factories to exactly make total direct instruments of the exact same quality. And I say this half tongue-in-cheek because we're talking about Gibsons where, oh no, you've made that guitar too good, they'll never believe it's actually a Gibson, is literally a conversation I'm sure will be had at some point. And it's in, I don't want to talk about watches too much, but there are, you can spend £1,000. You can spend £1,000 on a copy of a watch that is virtually indistinguishable from the real thing, and at least externally. And they are actually now making copies of the movements, the really difficult bit of the watch. And the thing is that they already have the machines, and they've sunk the cost into that, and they have the know-how, and the only thing really that sets Swiss watch industry and all that apart is the human time done on the finishing and the design and all that jazz. They're stealing the design, and they've got cheap humans. And it just is. I mean, if you want an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak copy, or one that looks virtually indistinguishable to the sort of micrometer, that's a tool, micrometer. Can Audemars Piguet justify selling that same watch for $37,000? And how the hell can we justify the fact that on the black market, or the grey market, at least, that same watch, because they don't make very many of them from the factory, or don't sell very many of them to us, is worth, $50,000 to $60,000 to $100,000. I just, yeah, they're getting very close to matching the quality, and it's very scary and very scary. Spike's Guitar Garage says the seller closed the Facebook where he sold the guitar through, and there's no way to find him. The guy's gone, and the guy who bought the guitar is just out his money. That's terrible, especially since it was a gift. Okay, Stefan Vuori says, hi, is it possible to fix some dents in a Rosewood fingerboard with a wet rag and soldering iron and 100 degrees centigrade, especially after working on fret ends? It should, yes. Basically, as long as it is a dent and not too deep of a one or too sharp of a dent, absolutely, go for it. It should be fine. At the very least, it'll get a long way there. Shipping, people talking about shipping. Matt Lang says, I'm currently keen on pistachio wood. Had never seen it before, and it's lovely. I have never seen it before myself. Dimitri says, Ben, I wonder what should I consider the most when I design a headstock, especially about the tuning keys position. So try for straight string pull if you can. If not, keep it as close to straight as possible. And bear in mind, you can modify the tuner, so you can have a headstock whatever shape you want, with the tuners actually very far away from the edge if you are clever. So that could be fun. Crumpet via Discord says, good evening, Ben. I recently just ordered £500 plus worth of tools from Crimson. That makes me very happy. So I guess it's almost time to start a guitar. Wish me luck. Good luck. Good luck indeed. The tool business side of Crimson essentially justifies the amount of time I spend on the YouTube, and not only that, it allows, I don't know, it's a very personal thing for me that you're actually getting things that I've designed and I don't make them myself anymore, but had made or am in control of making and all that. It just makes me very happy. So thank you very, very much. George Davis says, the neck shapes have been standard for years. Why do we see anything new in this area? Check out Strandberg. He did come up with a bunch of new things, facets and all that jazz. I'm not sure whether he actually came up with them, but he certainly popularized them and also patented them, or at least copyrighted them. He has since and recently put those out in a fair use kind of a thing. So people are now allowed to copy his designs and ideas, and they are good designs and ideas and worth looking at. Forgive me, people, I have a rather thunderous headache. It's been one of those days. Okay. Sven Clark says, this week I'm receiving the last of my hardware for my scratch build, so the last holes will be drilled and I will begin the final fit and finish. Very exciting, but also very nerve-wracking. You often speak of the final 5% of your work being 100% the first impression of the final product. Besides sanding and polishing, what are some of the other aspects of that final 5% that often get overlooked or missed? What do you wish young Ben Crowe knew when entering the completing stages of your early builds? P.S. Hopefully final pictures soon. Until then, here's a sneak peek of the scratch plate. Cheers. The scratch plate looks amazing. It looks like the fretboard I made on the Cyberpunk with basically multiple chunks of different woods, sort of harlequin-y kind of thing. That looks really cool. Okay. Fret ends. I never did my fret ends properly. I never spent enough care on the frets, and it's much like doing a VAT return. That is scary. Value-added tax, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's scary, and as a result, I avoid it like the plague until I have to do it. Fret work is that same sort of thing. I avoided fretwork for years and years and years because it just frightened me. So what I wish I knew earlier on was that none of this should be frightening. And look, at this point, if I can do this stuff, anything that you can see me doing ever, it really is as easy as I make it look. All it takes is a little bit of practice, and it should not scare you into not doing it. So there is that. I would very much say that the most important thing is the frets, the fretwork, the setup, but also your sanding. Sand the guitar down to the point where you think it's finished, and then either damp it down lightly with a damp rag, or take it out into indirect sunlight and hold it up and look at it, and you will, I am sure, find scratches and marks and things like that that you didn't think were there when you were inside your workshop. A lot of us work in garages and places like that without much natural light. Double check your sanding. It's so important. But essentially, at these end stages, the worst mistake I ever made, and I made it repeatedly and still am tempted to do that, is to rush at the end. You guys are shouting at, some of you guys are shouting at me because of Nebula. The fact that Nebula is sitting there and there's been no progress on Nebula for a number of weeks is me rebelling against myself. I wanted to rush her and finish her because I want to see her as badly as you guys do, if not worse. But I wasn't ready, and I needed to wait, and I had to, and I have done. And progress is going to come. Okay. I'm looking at this Redwood video, and I can't. Sheesh. Okay, that's just massive. Okay, we are. I'm running out of questions. How's that? Highline Guitar says, "Welcome to the dark side." This is a comment on the CNC build, new CNC machine, I think. It says, "I've been here for years and will never go back to hand building." Sure, hand building is romantic, but that's all it is. Is it ready, the dark side? That's a question from SC Guitars. I absolutely love my hand tools. I absolutely love being able to take something, a chunk of wood, and turn it into something new and unique and difficult to replicate. However, doing the same guitar over and over and over and over and over again, any Neanderthal can use a hand router. Any Neanderthal can use a pin router. Literally, you could go back in time, pick one up and say, show them this is what you do, up, down. So easy. Properly operating a CNC machine and properly creating a design and then transferring that into a computer is a much more difficult thing. But also, there is no CNC machine that does the fretwork and does the sanding and does the jointing of the wood that you then put into the CNC machine. There is no CNC machine that does the finishing for you, or the rubbing down, or the buffing, or wiring up the pickups. It's still 90% of the work is done by a luthier. It's just that through the use of a CNC machine, the luthier has more time to be doing the stuff that actually takes skill, which is why I use them. So, yeah. However, yeah, I think there will always be a place for a handmade guitar. And I sincerely hope that that is the case. Yeah. Bruce Brooks says, commissioned guitar, hand built, but production guitars really do require automated tools. Absolutely. I'm sitting here trying to plan and trying to think what I'm going to do with Crimson moving forward, and with my life moving forward, if I'm honest. And I don't want to sell guitars for £5,000 or £7,000 a piece. Or do I? Yeah, it would be good if I could, I suppose. But I think I would rather be a little bit more economical and incredibly good quality, but using CNC so that I can do that. Because if you commission a guitar that I make, it's going to be expensive. Kiwi Quarters has sent $5 and says, if Crimson were to be the Fender/Gibson of the UK, what type of guitar would you design for mass production? This is what, literally was keeping me awake last night. This exact thought, this exact question is keeping me awake, and it's the reason why I have such a thunderous headache today. It's a reason. I want to be the Fender/Gibson of Europe, not just the UK. I want to be making 25 or 50 guitars a day. I really do. And I'm not sure I've gone about my life in the right way to do that. Having you guys here, having the YouTube channel, having the tools and the school and the kits and all that sort of stuff, that doesn't actually help that dream in any way, shape or form, really. Unless any of you have a guitar shop and fancy stocking some Crimson guitars, that is. I also do not want to simply cookie cutter copy yet another Telecaster, yet another Stratocaster copy. Anybody can go and get a chunk of ash or poplar or something like that and make a guitar that looks exactly like Fender would, or slightly different. My Descendant is basically Telecaster-ish, slightly modernized, a little bit offset and sexy, and the cool backplates and all that. But in the end, it's the design itself is actually not the important thing for me. And it's taken me a couple of decades to realize it is actually the construction method that I want to change. So what I want to do and what I hope will sell is instruments, maybe a bog standard Telecaster style shape, but built in the style of the GGBO build I did recently, i.e. a top and a back with no supremely heavy middle to it. Because that whole section of wood in the middle doesn't serve any purpose, actually, except to, add weight and make it easier to manufacture. It is definitely easier to throw a piece of wood on a CNC and push a button and, there you go. It's not that easy, but it's easy. To make it the way that I've got it going in my head is a different story. And the price will be a little bit more expensive, but that guitar was the best sounding guitar I've ever made, both acoustically and plugged in. And I've made a hell of a lot of guitars, and a hell of a lot of them I thought were really, really nice sounding guitars. But my GGBO, the second I strummed that, and then the second I plugged it in, I knew that I was going to be making that and that style again. So yeah, I want to make a Telecaster version in that style. I want to make Explorers and Les Pauls and things like that are the shapes that people want. But, can you imagine an Explorer that weighs 2.5 pounds, for example? And yeah, so that's it. Um, that is actually my plan. That's where I'm hoping to go. But on top of that, I am planning on utilizing new materials. So I want to use wood less and use recycled and upcycled materials more. I want to make my carter out of fabric and recycled books and things like that. See if I can bring those into the mass-produced guitars. So that's where we stand in my life at this current point. Okay. Anyhow, guys, we're coming up to the hour. I am definitely running. Well, we've passed the hour, except for the 5 minutes I spent restarting my damn computer. Lisa says, travel guitars, hardworking, non-delicate ones, question mark. Yeah. I saw one on Instagram the other day that blew my mind. I don't know who made it, but it literally has a hinge in the neck, so the whole neck goes, and then in between two of the frets there's a hinge thing, and the neck just goes click click, and you pull a lever like some steampunk kind of a thing, and it locks it in place, and you've got a guitar. It was in tune. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I do need to do travel guitar at some point. I really do. Okay. B. McAllister says, ahoy hoy from Niagara Falls, Canada. Still wanted to see a video using coffee as stain. Ha ha. Yes, that's a very good point. I shall do that. We do have a build in progress at Crimson. I'm not doing it out of coffee beans, which will be fun. Why does everybody think I'm picking fights with the Texas Toast people? I really couldn't give a crap what they do. Oh, the pin routers. I can't mention pin routers without everybody thinking I'm referencing Texas Toast. Yeah. Just, I really couldn't care less what they do. Given to Kashmir sent a question and says, hi, is it possible to make EVH Eddie Van Halen stripes finish with your stains? Possible, yes. Advisable, probably not. No. I would... Probably with the spirit-based stains. Yeah, I think you could do that. You would need to be very, very careful how you mask off the areas that you don't want to go, because stain tends, it's so thin that it tends to go underneath the masking tape. I would potentially try and use a masking fluid that you paint on, an artist's masking fluid, and then paint the stain on in the same way. But to be honest, using a... Yeah, there we go. Airbrush, small compressor, stain in the airbrush, mask things off properly, and then spray it from a distance away. That is the best way to do that. Make sure it's masked carefully, and you should be all right. But yeah, it's not the easiest way to do it is just to use spray cans, to be honest. Okay, so we've been sent a clip of a guy playing one of my guitars while I was doing the live. I was at a guitar show in a different life. Yeah. Okay. I hope you all at Crimson know that you're doing a fantastic job inspiring us all to get into building guitars. Solely because of you guys, I've started my own build. Thanks a bunch. That's from Terra Firma 28. It's an absolute pleasure, and your guitar looks pretty damn cool. That actually looks like, from the photo at least, it looks like an inlaid top. Or, I can't quite tell. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm running low on energy. So let us see. Kiwi Quarter says, "Ooh, pin router!" Exclamation point. I saw a couple of them for sale actually. George Davis tells me to take some ibuprofen and get some rest. To be honest, so I'm diabetic, and just a type 2, self-inflicted. I had too much Coca-Cola as a teenager, and a lot too much Halo, and not moving around, and essentially I have diabetes. And I made the mistake of having a pizza with barbecue sauce on this evening, and I think there must be a lot more sugar in that barbecue sauce than I thought, because this is what it feels like. It actually feels like a sugar-induced headache, which sometimes absolutely knocks me out. Matthias Lindgren says, using a maple top more than 10 millimeters thick that's going to be stained, and wanting a 45-degree chamfer around the edge that is a natural masked accent. Just stain the entire top, then cut the chamfer, or stain after the cut. I always stain after the cuts because using the router is likely to damage the stain, and you're going to have to sand up to that edge anyway. Whenever I'm using stain, I go in fairly dry. I will put some of the stain onto the tissue, and then apply it from the center of the guitar to the edge of the guitar, and that means you basically go off the edge of the cliff without the stain, because it's not very wet on the tissue, without the stain going over the edge, and you can get a really crisp, clean edge by doing that. Ben Timon says, how about making a Super Strat kit? Do you have any plans to expand the range of kit guitars? We are supposed to be adding a new kit guitar every single week, but that's not the case at the moment. Drop us an email and we will make you anything that you fancy. Literally, we can do and will do anything. And actually that goes for the fact, if you are a guitar builder and want us to make your design, that you can then turn around and sell, and we can manufacture them for you. So that's another thing that we offer to people. Vax Headroom says, have you seen the dog bone style neck joint Driftwood Guitars is now using? I have not. I don't have enough signal. Come on. Nope, that was not an easy Google. Although I did see an image of Nebula on there. So I don't know. Spike's Guitar Garage sent $5 and said, should I advise the owner of this Chender to take off the decals and replace to avoid issues? I will feel better knowing it is inert. I would either take the decals off, or at the very least, somebody suggested on one of my Chipson videos, literally in the last couple of days, that we should probably have engraved fake into the back of the headstock. I just think that by doing that, you need to talk to the client and see what he wants to do. But yeah, I would. Thomas Gillis has come in with $10 and says, can I dissolve the Stunning Stains shots into a spirit? If so, what spirits? Also, what is the new schedule for these live streams? So the live streams do go live every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. UK time. I may pull them early, a little bit earlier, but I don't think I'm going to do that at the moment. And that is it. That is the only scheduled live stream. I am planning, once I'm back on my feet at full capacity and the kids are not on holiday, I am planning on doing a random live stream sometime in the middle of the week and in the morning UK time, or at least when I'm supposed to be working. Probably Wednesday mornings, like 10 o'clock or something like that. But that's going to be a as and when I feel like it kind of a thing. Can you dissolve the Stunning Stains shots into a spirit? Some of them, yes. Most of them, yes. To my knowledge, there are 2 or maybe 3 that do not work that way. But you will have to experiment with ones that you do have. Use denatured alcohol, use isopropyl alcohol, something like that. Good quality, yeah, something like that, and you should be fine. But experiment with it and see. I wish that we could. Zach Ellison's coming with another $10 and said, "Cookies! Ben, I love your GGBO also. Thank you very much. I watched your workshop video. Personally, you don't clean your shop or diagram it out ahead of time. Working clean and organized helps you think and work." You are correct. So I went through 4 different diagrams about the workshop and kept on changing my mind. And in the end, coming up with different plans and different plans and different plans and different plans stressed me out more than the untidy workshop. And it took me 3 weeks longer to get to the job than it would have if I just started moving stuff around. And in my builds, you'll see the same sort of a thing. I have a general idea. I have a general plan, and I do often write things down. Do this, do that, do this, do that, to plan the videos out. I do draw things off camera sometimes to plan things, but when the chisel hits the wood, that's when my best ideas actually happen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing that I thought 15 years ago, let's do that. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it ends up being the finish on the GGBO. I think that my personal issue right now is I'm on the verge of there's just too much going on. I've got very little headspace. I've got very little room left to think, and I'm even considering folding the vintage tool shop into Crimson. It's currently a separate business. I'm seriously considering just smushing the 2 together. I'm seriously considering ditching a few other side projects I've got going on so that I can just concentrate on this sort of stuff, but also clear my head so that things like GGBO don't happen again. Because with COVID, with the business, with, I've only just moved into this house a couple of years ago, and building workshops and just everything really has actually mentally knocked me for 6. I would love a perfectly clean, perfectly organized workshop, and that's what I'm aiming for. And I've got 2 big boxes full of tools that I'm getting rid of. And actually there's a load more down there. I'm never going to get into watchmaking because I don't have the headspace for it. So the tools that I've collected for that, most of them are going to be sold now. And it's all about doing that, organizing, cleaning, and planning ahead. Anyhow, if anybody has a question, hit me with it now because I'm going to go to bed. Luthiers says Driftwood is effing sick. Love that channel. Okay, that must be a YouTube channel, and I'll check that out. Neil Jelks says Billy Biggs is asking if he could use black walnut for a fretboard. Absolutely. I just bought a chunk of black walnut, actually. Like, I think 60 cubic feet. My worst nightmare. I follow an auction house that deals with companies going insolvent or closing down or whatever, for whatever reason, and there's a timber yard that's closed, and this auction house is auctioning off the entire timber yard's worth of material. It's insane. Okay. Anyway, look, guys, I'm fading fast, so thank you very much for watching. Please have a fantastic week. Have fun in the workshop. Have fun with your families. Go make a guitar or two. Failing that, play the ones you've already made. I love you guys. I really do appreciate your support, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Goodbye.